Hello class, we are the group Coke vs. Pepsi, and this will be the greatest presentation you've ever seen. First off, running up the little place, we got Bobby Phillips.
I'll be doing the gross profit relationship between Coke and Pepsi.
Next to bat, we got Jake Knaust.
I'll be doing the regression analysis for the sales revenue.
Followed by this, we have Will Sykes.
I'm going to be talking about the net income of Coke and Pepsi.
And followed by this, we have Yuta Suzuki.
Hello, I will talk about the revenues and income statement of the two companies.
And rounding off, you got me, Kevin Wayman. What's going on, guys? What's up? We got a little introduction coming here on Coke and Pepsi. Let's get it started. How are you today? I'm here to tell you a little info about Coke and Pepsi and how they were started. First off, Coke was created in Columbus, Georgia by a man named John Pepperton. Then, Coke began selling in bottles in 1894. Can you believe it? The same year, the first advertisement was displayed in Georgia on a wall. The first can of Coke was made in 1955, and that's when it all started. They've continued to develop products to this day. Moving on to Pepsi, right along here. It was also created by a pharmacist in North Carolina in 1903. That next year, he sold 6-ounce bottles, and sales increased almost $20,000. In 1940, the first jingle was released, and in 1964, Diet Pepsi was released as well. That is how it began.
Okay, I will talk about the sales revenue of both Coke and Pepsi. I think you can see from numbers, it's from 2004 to 2008, and then both of the companies are still increasing their sales revenue. Like the Pepsi in 2004 is 29,261 to 43,251 in 2008, and in the Coke, it's from 21,742 2 million in 2004, and keep increasing to the 31,944 million in 2008.
As you can see by looking at the graph, Coke and Pepsi both have a correlated upward right slope. As Coke sales went up, Pepsi sales went up. They have a direct correlation at 0.982.
How you doing? I'm going to tell you about the gross profit here between Coke and Pepsi. As you can see with the graph in front of you, both go up throughout the course of the years, and they're both correlated with a 0.902, which is very close to 1, which shows a good resemblance between the numbers. And as you can see here, Pepsi in 04 started off with 16,587,000, and they increased their gross profit by $6 million by 08. Coke started off in 04 with $14,068,000. Not a big increase like Pepsi, but they moved up to $20,570,000.
I will now be discussing Pepsi and Coke's net incomes. As you can see from our analysis on the chart, the scatter plot looks rather random. That is because they are not nearly as correlated as they were on the other two topics we spoke of. Their beta is also 0.7, which is much less than what we had beforehand. I'll discuss a little bit of those reasons. When we saw from our sales revenue and our gross profit was an extreme correlation that as the market rose, both Coke and Pepsi's sales went up and increased. But when we see here in our net income from 2004, that while Pepsi's sales and Pepsi's gross profit were much greater than Coke's, their net incomes are very close, and also they don't increase the same every year. While Pepsi had 4,212 in millions, they decreased to 4,078, increased for 2 years, and decreased again in 2008. Coke showed similar. In 2004, they increased to 2005, increased in 2006 and 7, but then decreased in 2008. A lot of those things can be attributed to the fact that in their internal systems, where their expenses and how they divide up their incomes, which makes up their net income. Pepsi obviously experiences a much higher expense than Coke does, being exhibited here, and here, and here. That is why, while Pepsi has a much higher sales revenue than Coke, they end up having very similar net incomes. And that is also why they're not as closely correlated.
So I heard Pepsi's supposed to do bad this year over Coke.
Pepsi never does worse than Coke.
Coke's predicted to have better sales this year.
It's because of the economy. Dr. Pepper!